Welcome to Daily Gossip. You will get daily Hollywood updates here. Remember to subscribe for the latest videos. In the dazzling world of showbiz, where spotlights shine bright and the applause never fades, there are moments of deep personal reflection that often go unnoticed. Behind every celebrity's success, there are unseen sacrifices, quiet heartbreaks, and tender stories that seldom make the headlines. Today, we dive into a side of Simon Cowell's life that's far removed from the stern judge on America's Got Talent or the media mogul who shaped global music. This is the story of a father and his son, of love forged in the quiet moments away from the cameras, and of the emotional weight Simon carries as he raises his 11-year-old son, Eric Cowell, in a world that isn't always kind. For a man known for his unshakable exterior and brutally honest critiques, Simon's journey into fatherhood revealed a completely different side. Vulnerable, emotional, deeply protective, and heartbreakingly human. Simon Cowell never imagined he'd be a father in his 50s. Known as a lifelong bachelor and industry powerhouse, he once famously said he didn't believe he was cut out for parenting. But all of that changed in 2014, when Eric was born. Suddenly, the man who built empires from talent competitions was faced with the purest, most unfiltered form of love, one that couldn't be measured in ratings or music charts. Simon described the birth of Eric as a life-changing moment. He wasn't just a celebrity anymore. He was a dad, and with that title came a host of fears, responsibilities, and overwhelming emotions he never thought he'd feel. The world saw a softer side to Simon, a man who now teared up during emotional auditions, who smiled a little wider when children were on stage, and who spoke with new tenderness about his personal life. But fatherhood has not been without its hardships. One of the deepest challenges Simon faced came in the form of guilt. Guilt over how late in life he became a parent. Guilt over how public his world is. And guilt over whether his son would grow up sheltered or overexposed. Raising a child while being hounded by paparazzi, constantly traveling, and managing high-profile television shows is no easy feat, and for Eric, life has never been normal. From the moment he could walk, he's had cameras in his face. Every milestone, every trip, every whisper of his development has been analyzed by tabloids. For Simon, this exposure has been a source of constant worry. How do you protect someone so small, so precious, in a world that profits off every glimpse of his innocence? More recently, whispers of concern have surrounded the Cowell family again. Not because of scandal, but because of something even more fragile. The fear of time. Simon, now in his 60s, is more aware than ever of his own mortality. He's spoken, openly in interviews, about wanting to be present for every step of Eric's journey. From school plays to teenage heartbreaks, from learning to ride a bike to one day graduating. But he's also painfully aware that he won't be a young father forever. That realization has led to changes in his lifestyle. After a terrifying e-bike accident in 2020, Simon broke his back in several places. For days, he couldn't walk. The accident wasn't just physically devastating. It was emotionally crushing. Simon admitted the first thought that crossed his mind in the hospital wasn't about his career or business. It was about Eric. What if I never walk again? What if he sees me like this forever? He whispered through tears during an emotional sit-down interview. The accident changed everything. Simon began to prioritize his health in ways he never had. He revamped his diet, lost weight, and started spending significantly more time at home. For someone whose entire identity was tied to his public persona, these shifts were monumental. But they were done for one reason. Eric. I want to be here for him. Simon has said. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I want him to look back and remember that his dad was there. And yet, despite these efforts, the looming pressures of fame continue to haunt Simon. Every time Eric appears in public or is mentioned online, Simon's protective instincts kick in. He worries about bullying, about comparisons, about the loss of privacy. Even social media becomes a battlefield when you're trying to shield your child from a world that judges so quickly and so harshly. There's also the emotional complexity of being an older father. Simon often speaks about the sadness he feels, knowing that he may not be around for all of Eric's adult milestones. That haunting thought that he might not see Eric get married or have children of his own keeps him awake at night. It's a pain many wouldn't expect from a man who seems to have it all. But inside, Simon Cowell carries that fear like a quiet storm. He talks to Eric often, preparing him for life in subtle, profound ways, teaching him to be kind, to stand up for himself, to value loyalty over fame, and to stay grounded. These aren't just fatherly lessons. They're emotional legacies. Pieces of Simon's heart that he's embedding in his son before time takes its toll. And through it all, Eric continues to grow into a remarkable young boy, curious, funny, thoughtful, and endlessly loving. The bond he shares with Simon is visibly unbreakable. They laugh together, vacation together, and even work together. Eric has appeared on Britain's Got Talent and has a growing interest in music and creativity. But more than that, Eric has become Simon's anchor. He saved me, Simon once said in a rare emotional admission. When I held him for the first time, everything made sense. Everything I thought was important suddenly didn't matter anymore. Still, there's a bittersweet sadness in Simon's voice whenever he talks about the future. He knows that life is unpredictable. He knows that fame is fleeting. And he knows that being a father means loving with your whole heart while accepting that someday you might have to let go. That truth, that fragile, painful truth, is what makes Simon's story so deeply human. For all his fame, fortune, and influence, he's just a father trying to protect his son, a man trying to do right by the most important person in his life. And in that quiet struggle, in that raw vulnerability, we see a Simon Cowell the world rarely acknowledges, a man of deep emotion, of heartbreak, and of unshakable love. As fans, we may never fully understand the weight Simon carries, but in those rare glimpses of honesty, in interviews, in quiet moments captured on camera, in the way his eyes light up when Eric is mentioned, we catch a glimpse of something truly beautiful. Not the judge, not the mogul, but the father. And that story deserves to be told, remembered, and honored. Because behind the glitter of celebrity lies the beating heart of a man who found his greatest joy not on a stage, but in the simple sacred act of being called Dad.